second interglacial warming. That was a period of 250,000 years. Java, Peking, and Heidelberg tribes were in the cold, dark, glaciated mountainous region of Asia. And Atlanthropus tribes in the Atlas Mountains merged with Homo erectus tribes of Africa, and Homo sapiens evolved. Now the word sapiens means the wise and knowing. Now Homo sapiens tribes and their ancestors lived in the same place, and their ancestors passed down stories, legends, history, or scientific teachings. Now their spirits reincarnated into the same region because there weren't that many people. So they reincarnated into the same region, and they began to remember previous lives and recognize themselves in the stories and legends. They studied nature, the animals, plants, soil, water, stars, weather, and they gained an understanding of creation. So then they founded the kingdom of Atlantis 212,000 years ago. Now Atlantis was in the oblate, thrust-forward, warm, fertile region of the earth. All the tribes in the warm, oblate region had varying degrees and concentrations of H. erectus ultivate gorge heritage. The people in the oblate region were in the garden. They were the crop of evolving co-creators because they had human heritage, or the light of pure creative spirit expanding from the inside. Now, like the first race of man, like Lumanians, like Kenopithecus, and like Australopithecus, Homo sapiens passed on his heritage of tool-making and knowledge of creation. Now, the Scandinavian ice sheet spread northward, and it reached its maximum thickness of 1.9 miles. And then the poles, this is Scandinavian region. Then the poles of the earth shifted around 195,000 years ago, and the ice sheet reversed directions and began slowly spreading southward because the earth was warming. And as the earth warmed, it melted, and some of the weight was taken off of it, and the earth updomed, uplifted, and a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Now, as the Scandinavian ice sheet spread southward, it incorporated or merged with several smaller ice sheets, uniting or concentrating glaciers of major mountains ranges of eastern Siberia, China, and Southeast Asia, and the northern part of North America. They don't mention North America, and all of this was frozen. So all of this was glaciated, and the people of Egypt and Greece said it was a wall of ice around the earth. In other words, they were here in this region, and to them, all of this was like a wall of ice that was all around them. Now, the earth and all creation is one system. A change or mutation in a waterway is indicative of a change in flow and concentration of the spirit or waters of the inner structure. Now, Swanscombe tribes in Britain lived in the lowest dimension of the oblate region. In other words, think of this earth as being oblate. And this was the lower, Britain was in the lowest region. And they had the least amount of Homo sapiens and H. erectus heritage. Because when these people spread up from Africa, this was one of the last places they reached. So they had the least. These people had more and more, and they had the least. It's just like if you look, you know, from north to south, you'll see blonde hair, brown hair, and then you'll see black hair. They had less Homo sapiens and H. erectus heritage. Now, when they were allied with the kingdom of Atlantis, the British Isles were joined to continental Europe by a broad land bridge. That's here. See, this was all ice. These were land bridges. So this is Spain, there's Africa, and this is Britain. And the pink shows you that this was all a land bridge. Now, when they were to join to them, they were allied with the kingdom of Atlantis. And at that time, the Thames River, which is the main principal river of England, London is built on the banks of the Thames River. At any rate, at that time, the Thames River flowed into the Mediterranean Sea right here. It was because they were allied with the people of Africa. Now, when the poles of the earth shifted 195,000 years ago, and the Scandinavian ice sheet began drifting southward, the advancing ice and glaciers changed the ground and toward the ground, and the Thames River now drains to the Baltic Sea right here. It changed course. Now, let's restate that. The poles shifted, and the ice sheet, bearing predatory creatures, including mountain tribes, began drifting southward. And tribes in Britain, the Swanscombe tribes of Britain, had been part of the kingdom of Atlantis for 17,000 years. But they reversed directions and went with the flow of ice by allying with the mountain tribes. Now, the Scandinavian ice sheet was a towering 1.9-mile-high wall of ice that slid and crept southward into the lowland territory of the kingdom of Atlantis. Can't you just see, you're getting up every morning and you see this ice has come a little closer, 1.9 miles high. Now, as it approached, plant life decreased. Life forms moved into the warmer regions, or they became more predatory because food supplies decreased and because the approaching wall of ice brought predators. Archaeological findings indicate that birds in glaciated regions mutated to falcons, eagles, and vultures around 195,000 years ago. One species of falcon had a wingspan of approximately 47 feet and weighed approximately 50 pounds. Now, creodonts mutated to wolves and bears as the Scandinavian ice sheet spread southward around 195,000 years ago. Now, the first wolves were what they call great dire wolves. They were much larger than wolves of the present period. Some of them were as big as grizzly bears. And wolves are strictly carnivorous. They can survive without food for several days, and then they might eat up to a fifth of their own body weight at a meal. Now, most wolf packs are family groups, and there are just stories and stories about the slyness. You heard slides of this sly wolf. Their ability to, their cunning and their ability, they can carry out warfare for extended periods of time. They can travel for hours at about 20 miles per hour. And their strength, speed of running, craftiness, or cunning, and the large numbers that often make up a pack make them a terror of the ice fields. Now, bears evolved from one line of wolves. The earliest of bears were huge, powerful, cave-dwelling creatures who fought with the primates for limited cave residences. Cave bears usually lived alone and never gathered in packs. Their presence in a cave was often a surprise. Now, bears have small eyes. They cannot see well. They hear only fairly well, but they have an exceptional sense of smell. All bears are dangerous. They get angry quickly and they're fierce fighters. Bears attack anything that seems to threaten them, their food, their cubs, or their home. One look from the front paw of an adult cave bear could kill a man. Now, during the glacial period between 195,000 and 130,000 years ago, bears scattered over the glaciated northern hemisphere, frequently inhabiting caves. Now, it was hard for them to tell because the whole sole of the bear's foot rest on the ground, and they leave a footprint that resembles that of a man. Now, they were absent in the oblate regions. They were present in Africa only in the glaciated parts of the Atlas Mountains. So now, here comes the Scandinavian ice sheet. And hearing these bears and these birds and the mountain tribes and the wolves and any rate, this Scandinavian ice sheet eventually spread over 2,500,000 square miles. Now, its southern border, eventually, about around 175,000 years ago, its southern border incorporated all the British glaciers, and it spread to London, Amsterdam, and central Germany, and into southern European Russia. Now, Egyptian and Greek mythology state that the highways to heaven opened up, and Java, Peking, and Heidelberg tribes invaded England around 175,000 years ago, and they camped in Clacton, Essex, and Swanscombe, Kent. Anthropologists state that mass production of weapons began on a flint working floor in Kent. And gradually, the Swanscombe tribes degenerated, and they, as they merged with these mountain tribes, and they could no longer use Homo sapiens and H. erectus tool-making techniques because they had lost the precision and the focus and the concentration. And they started making what's called Clactonian tubes. The best known Clactonian tubes were found in Kent and Clacton and Essex, England. Now, they're described as primitive flake tools, which were used as scrapers and knives, and they had cores that they used as choppers.